Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Hyperfixation, the podcast, your weekly deep dive into the niche and the eccentric. Today, we're taking a little trip into the Ewok village, Brightree village on the Forest Moon of Endor. Now, a little side note from this, I'll talk about this. We're doing basically some arts and crafts today. I have a few supplies with me. So we're just going to get straight into it and I'll sort of explain what the story is as we go. I'm going to start. I've got this little base. For audio listeners, it's a little plywood base. Very thin, just a little sheet. Just a little bit of wood. I've got a few of these, so I might bind them together with some... I've got some wood glue here, so we'll sort of see how we go. What else have I got? I'm just having a look at my tools, everyone. I've got some paints, a lovely stick here, which is nice. This is going to come in very handy, I'm sure. Some twine, some glues, paints, different forms of tape. And yeah, we're just going to go for gold here. So paddle pop sticks. We need the paddle pop sticks. Oh, now that, dear audio listeners, was all of the paddle pop sticks falling onto the damn ground. Which is an excellent start for this little arts and crafts episode. Some lovely little paddle pop stick ASMR for you as well. It really sounds like we're going to the room cinema screening and throwing some spoons at the screen. My tapes and everything have fallen all over the floor. All right, so while we sort of get started, what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue a couple of these little sheets together. I've got 5 of them, which is more than enough for this little project. But just to give the base a bit more of a foundation. So that's what I'll do first. Is I've got some PVA wood glue, just some Selly's PVA wood glue. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to glue the bases together. Very nice. Just a couple of lines. So what we're doing is making a little diorama, a little figure base for a couple of little figures. I've actually got a little clamp system. I actually found that I had an old project sitting in one of my clamps, which is amusing to say the least. So yeah, apologies as well. You'll probably hear some whining and some maybe some construction a little later. There's still plenty of construction happening outside my flat, and we're doing this sort of late in the day, unfortunately. But you know, when you live the busy life of a renowned podcast host, it's sort of what you can do. I've just got the one, but it should be enough just to keep it nice and thin. Yeah, got it. Great. Just to give it a bit of a to let it seal together. And so what we're doing is just sealing 2 little wood flats together. Just to increase that base as a foundation, because this is going to be the bottom of a little diorama. So what I did is I got a figure set. Now, it was on a heavy discount. It was very much an impulse buy. I collect a lot of different things. One of the things I collect are these lovely Star Wars Black Series 6-inch figures. They're the same range as a lot of the Doctor Who figures I collect. And I've started, not like a proper collection or anything, but just a few little bits and pieces here and there that I really like. And this was on a heavy discount. This was for the Return of the Jedi 40th anniversary. And it's the Force Ghosts from the end, from the very end of Return of the Jedi. And it's the special edition ones. So they're very new, a few years old only. 2023. They're a few years old. But they're really good figures. And I didn't have a Ben Kenobi nor a Yoda. I have Vader and Anakin Skywalker, like Commander Skywalker from the Clone Wars. But I didn't have Ghost Anakin. And I thought, this is a really nice set. It would be perfect if it came with 2 heads for Anakin. You know, one with, this is Hayden Christensen's likeness for audio listeners. And so I believe this is the first version of this figure released. So I was doing some research and a lot of people were mad, like, oh, I've already bought the Force Spirit set and the Anakin is the new figure and I have to buy the whole set to get him. Oh, whoever. Well, it was the other way around for me. I had Anakin already. Anyway, So it would be really nice if they'd included Hayden Christensen and Sebastian Shaw. Sebastian Shaw, of course, plays unmasked Vader, Anakin Skywalker in Return of the Jedi. And his Force Ghost was replaced in the special edition. So he appears as a Force Ghost at the end with the ghosts of Obi-Wan and Yoda. And he was replaced by Hayden Christensen in one of the special editions, which is, I still think is a bamboozling decision. And one of my least favorite things about the special editions that have now replaced the many original things in the theatrical cuts. Special editions have good things about them and bad things about them. I disagree with this. It means so, no disrespect to Hayden Christensen, but it means so much that Vader turns back into Anakin before he dies. And it's just a really lovely thing to see old Obi-Wan and old Anakin together. I think that's really nice and brings some closure, especially after watching the prequels. I think it makes way more sense seeing them old together after watching the prequels, and now we've sort of lost that. So, look, whatever. This is a figure set of what appears now in the movie canonically. And, of course, we've seen Anakin's Force Ghost since in Ahsoka, even though he's just sort of wearing his dark brown robes, not these lovely, lovely robes. So I got this figure set. It was on a big discount, real bargain, real happy with it. And I was fooled by bits of advertising and thought it came with its own diorama figure base. And that, excited me to have, a figure set of these characters. It comes in a little base and it'll look really good on my shelf just as a little bookshelf piece. And to my dismay, it just came with the figures, a lovely presentation box with just 3 smaller boxes inside with these figures. The figures are great. They're the normal bodies, but they've got sort of semi-translucent parts, so their legs and hands and bits of their robes are see-through. And they've got this lovely sort of blue glittery paint. I'll see if I can put in a close-up maybe on the video version over them to make them look sort of ghostly. On their hair and their face, it looks really good and really catches the light nicely. Their robes are shiny as well, and they've got these outer cloaks, which are sort of made of this magic fishnet, for want of a better term. And Yoda's the same. He's been so hands and feet are sort of translucent, and then he's got this glittery paint on, and it's a really nice little effect, and they look like the ghost. But I thought that ending motif, that ending scene, is really powerful in the context of the original trilogy. And since I have all 3, it'd be nice to make a little diorama, something that doesn't take up too much space, just sits on my shelf. And it'd be nice to make it out of wood. It's a very simple thing, and I thought I could probably knock it out in about an hour, which is conveniently about the time of a podcast record. So that's the story, folks. So we're going to do a few things today, and I've done a little bit of prep work just so we can try and get it all done here, which is all very exciting and very good for an audio podcast. I really like Return of the Jedi. I know it's not everyone's favorite. It's my sister's favorite Star Wars film, but not mine. My favorite is probably the first one. And I think as a conclusion to the trilogy, it works really nicely. But, we've done quite a bit of Star Wars content, actually, with Star Wars Mum behind us. And we'll probably be doing more sort of franchise-based stuff as well going forward, but we'll see how we go. I think this is episode 26, so it's exciting. If anyone has any ideas of things they'd like to see on the podcast, please, our doors are always open at Hyperfixation HQ. We'd love for you to reach out and for you to talk to us. I'm doing a terrible job of taping, incidentally, folks, just to seal up the edges a little bit. Yeah, great. While the glue is drying. Okay, so basically what I'm going to do, just to describe it, is I've got this base plate, which is still, the glue is still setting. I've got these paddle pop sticks, which are going to become like the sort of the floorboards, so to speak, like the wood paneling, underneath them on the sort of, it's unclear what they're sort of standing on. It's like a sort of a miscellaneous tree village gantry. It's got this little fence that Yoda is sitting on, and then Anakin and Obi-Wan are standing sort of behind him. I'm just going to move them out of the way. I've got my laptop here for reference as well, and I think we'll do some Star Wars shooting trivia. unclear what they're standing on, but it's like just a little, yeah, just like a little. I'm looking at the image right now. It's yeah, just a little fence that Yoda's sitting on, and just a little yeah, and it's a very dark as well, just as a little thing. It's just a little bit off to the side of the party, and they're just sort of watching on from the edge. It's a nice little idea. So I'm just going to try and recreate it as best as possible. So this little wood thing, it's about 20 centimeters by 10, I want to say. Then we've got these paddle pop sticks to act as sort of floorboards, so they'll sort of go on like that. We've also got a backdrop, which I edited and printed out. Just, it's not from the movie. It's not like the exact backdrop that seems to be there standing behind in the image, but it's a Ralph McQuarrie matte painting from the Endor village. It's called Bright Tree Village, actually, that I thought substituted quite nicely. So I've got a few things. Okay, what am I thinking of first? So what I'll do first is start... I'll start the paddle popping, I reckon. So they can be sort of glued directly onto the base. And what I'll probably use as well is some screws just in the bottom to attach this stick. Which is going to be the thing that Yoda is sitting on. So it's tied off in a few places, but I'm gonna use some twine as well to make it look like. I think I'm just gonna glue it all together and then use some twine over the top to make it look like that's how it's attached. Nothing fancy. It actually, looking at the picture, it looks very similar to where Luke and Leia and Han sort of have that conversation when 3PO and R2 are recounting the major events from the past two movies. When Luke tells Leia that they're siblings. I'm just sort of looking at this little bit of here, and I think this bit in the middle really nicely sort of matches what Yoda is sitting on. So that's the main bit I'm going to use, and then I'm going to use these two little bits as sort of a support. So I'll cut that up. I've got these heavy-duty pair of scissors. Oh, so this will lead into sort of what we talk about a bit later. They filmed in the California redwoods. I think it's... I can't remember the name of the exact park. I'll remember it, I'm sure, a bit later. But that's where they filmed, and there was a lot of domestic filming, a lot of filming in America for Return of the Jedi, unlike the previous two films. Which is why they used Blue Harvest, which I'm repping today in hat form. It's why they used the tagline Blue Harvest, so they could actually make the movie. I do a lot of different arts and crafts and things like that. And with these, I'm not being precious at all. I'm being very slapdash because, it's going to look natural and sort of really sort of rickshaw-y, not rickshaw-y, but really sort of rough, imprecise. The whole Star Wars universe, one key thing about it, why it feels so intrinsically real or sort of relatable, is how lived in it is. Everything should just feel a bit, weathered. Okay, we're going to work with this amount just to start off with. So what I'll do is sort of paste them all at the back. Yeah, that's nice. Sort of flatten them all, glue them on, and then we can paint and stuff, like it was built by Muppet Bears. Oh, don't tell me I've done the perfect amount. Oh no, I haven't quite. There's a spare one, great. I've done nearly the perfect amount. That's pretty wizard. Because the way the struts work is that they come like all the way up through the ground, like there's the forest floor, and like, because we're up high in the trees. So I don't mind if there's a bit of room at the front for me to do all my screw nonsense with the fencing, with the railing. Okay, that, I think, is pretty excellent. I can start gluing it all on, I guess. Yeah, let's do that. Gonna be pretty generous with the wood glue. Like, is a bit too gluggy, can sort of seep through, and I sort of don't mind that. Like, I'm being pretty messy with this. It's just a little thing for me, really. Oh, actually, I'm gonna leave a little bit of space at the back as well when I'm pasting these on. Just to allow for some special features, which I'm gonna... This is... there's something very sort of satisfying about this, actually. This is... So I do a fair bit of arts and crafts and sort of model making, and like especially through my teenage years, I really got into it. I've got a bunch of different tools and things gifted to me mostly over the years, or just picked up on Bunnings on a different odd job trip. This one is a pretty simple idea, really. Like, I looked online and looked at what other people had done, and obviously 3D printing has changed the game in terms of model making and things like that, and I've invested in a bit of 3D printing and done a bit of my own 3D printing, especially in terms of like Doctor Who stuff, because all that stuff is very specific. Whereas Star Wars, I don't know, it like, the thing is with Doctor Who, I've quite an eye for detail, and so does everyone in that community, as does the Star Wars community. But I don't know, it's just a bit of a different thing making a diorama for some Star Wars figures than like doing a TARDIS console, say, for some of my Doctor Who figures. Does everyone else hate when masking tape like doesn't set properly? Doesn't like start off in like a clean run? Big fan of things like Adam Savage's channel. If you haven't checked it out, please do. I know I shouldn't really recommend people who are much more successful than I am, but like, his stuff is great and really good for like diorama making, or any sort of arts and crafts, hobby making. Really, really cool stuff and really accessible and user-friendly, so really recommend his stuff. Now, I was thinking as well, I've got these like clear figure bases that the figures that the Jedi are standing on, that a lot of my figures stand on, just really helps for stability and things like that, and display and cleaning, like cleaning shelves and stuff. And I'll see if a way to work it into the base, but I can't be asked. So I'm gonna just make this its own thing, and then go from there, I reckon. Okay, great. Okay, pretty good. So what we're going to do now is work on the fence. So the way it's sort of going to work is that the fence will be, this is the front here, at this side where I've left this gap. Then there's a little gap at the back. It's the back bit. And yeah, well, let's go from there. So what I'll do is these will be my sort of struts. So I'm going to chop them down to like a similar height, and then screw them in from the bottom. So actually, what I'll probably do is use this bit, cut it in half, because it's got a really sort of strong base, and then screw a little screw in at the bottom, and then yeah, go from the top end. So let's do that. There we go. Lovely. So we've got these two lovely little bits of wood fencing. They don't look particularly straight. They've got some details in them. They're perfect for exactly the sort of effect I'm going for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make little screws in the bottom. And I'm going to see if I can just do it with a screwdriver. I've got to... Oh, I'll just use my drill. So I've just drilled a couple little holes in the base, and in these trunks. And I can just now, hopefully, just screw them in. Huzzah. That looks way better than I thought it would. Great. All right. I don't even need glue. That's terrific. Okay. Not how I was expecting this to go in any sense. Okay, let me just screw this other one on now, because I want them to look natural but not crap, if that makes sense. That's the main sort of base done now, which is crazy. Also, I was meant to read out some trivia. Hang on, I've got some IMDb trivia from the film. Carrie Fisher really cared about Warwick Davis's well-being during filming. I've heard this, as he had to spend it in a hot Ewok costume. She also provided him with cookies and chocolate milk between takes. Davis later commented she was everything an 11-year-old Ewok could possibly wish for. I've heard they always had a really lovely relationship because of that film. And she really looked after him, is the stories you hear. And, you know, there's a lot of stories you hear from the making of those original 3. And so you just hope a lot of them are true, you know? So now, normally I wouldn't care too much about this having structure or, you know. But the issue is it's Yoda's got to sit on it. So it's got to, like, not just be flimsily attached. Okay, this glue is just not, it's not the glue, it's just the way I've done it. So what I'm going to do is just drill and use some slightly longer screws, I reckon. See what I've got in my kit. See, this is all the stuff you learn. Is it crazy just to tie it? Am I just overthinking this whole bloody thing? Oh. No. I've got it. Sorry, I'm a dill. Let me get this thing out. Do I need pliers? What do we do with this? Now I've got this hole, I can actually attach it using this wire, which should be mostly undetectable. I can cover it with the railing, and also I've got this twine, which is going to go over the top anyway, so you shouldn't be able to see it. Oh, I thought this wire might be useful. So what I can do is just tie it around. Yeah, perfect. Let's do about that much. And then what I'll do is the same on this side. Yes! It's a bit Clarkson, wasn't it? Yes! Oh, that was just Matt Berry. Yes! I think I've lost the whole... Oh no, I've lost a bit of it. Wouldn't be the first time. That joke's getting cut. Twine. Where's the end? Where's the end of my twine? Anyone else getting that Irish guy on their Instagram reels? The one who's like making all this sort of indie pop music. Sort of, he says like Ed Sheeran meets Maroon 5. He's just been like aggressively in my reels. It's just like, oh, like all power to you, man. We're all trying to make it, you know, in this world and in this industry. In a industry. Oh, that was satisfying. Did you hear that? It's like a bloody sound effect. All right, and let me do a bit on this side now. And what I'll do is I'm gonna put a bit of paint on that just to weather it a little bit, the twine. So I'm tying some twines around this fencing post. There we go. This is shaping up to be really nice, actually. I'm very surprised. There we go. Sounded like I was talking to my dog then. There we go. Hello, Indy. There we go. All right. There you are. There we are. Is that's a Mitchell and Webb sketch? There we are. Oh, now we know. Now we know. The Emperor's chair was mechanized so that it could rotate when the scene called for it. However, the mechanism never worked properly, so Ian McDiarmid had to make it move by shuffling his feet. A piece of tape on the floor told him when to stop so it would not be visible to camera. Fun little fact, folks. All right, so main construction of the base is done. Yeah, I might just put a bit of PVA glue on the twine, just where the knots are, just to, you know, keep it really nice and secure. All right, so next. So yeah, I saw a lot of different attempts at this and a lot of different bases. I'm going to take off the masking tape as well for the wood slats, the paddle pop wood slats. Oh. That last one isn't glued down, that's good. I'm going to be very gentle because the glue is still setting. Yeah, it takes a little while, this wood glue. It's not the most, but that's your basic. That's your basic one. I'm tempted to sort of do a little screw at the back, but I sort of don't need it. What I'll probably do is just apply an extra bit of glue later after we've done this episode, just so I can finish up and make it look schmick and perfect. I'm thinking as well of using one of these. Just at the back for an extra support for something I've got going just after this. I'm doing some angles because I think what I might do is make a little facade at the back. So it is sitting sort of just behind in that little gap I made with the paddle pop sticks. It was smart that I did that. What I'm now going to do is get painting. You know, well, let's disregard this. I will add that on later, but I'll just keep it to the side for the moment. We're going to paint. Get that out of the way. And just going to do a nice brown coat. So it's going to be a mix, actually. I've got this lovely red color. It's called Rusty Nail from an old, you know, like the redwood base. Then I've got this brown that I'm going to mix it with. So that is Rusty Nail, and I've got Burnt Sienna. I'm just going to mix the two together. It should have this very lovely deep red color. That's perfect. And then I'm just going to add a touch of black. Now, I've got this little board, which I'm mixing it directly onto. So, like a little disposable paint board. And this is my backdrop, everyone. I'm showing it up to audio listeners. A little matte painting, a Ralph McQuarrie matte painting. I've printed it out on A4, but I'll trim it down. This lovely dark brown color. I'm just going to mix it with a bit of water, just to thin it out a bit. I'll see how many coats it'll need. I'm not worrying about painting like that little bit for the backdrop either, because my miniature backdrop will go in front of it. Normally I would prime my paints as well, so I do like a Rust-Oleum. I like a Rust-Oleum white cover for the top. But no, I didn't think this needed it. I wanted sort of wood colors to be coming up through the paint job, and I want it to be sort of mismatched and not like quite, you know. Want it to be a mix of colors and stuff. That's a bit. I've gone a bit too black there. Oh, look at these happy little clouds. Very Bob Ross at the moment. So I'm just painting the floor. I don't think I thought about maybe doing a little bit on the sticks, but I don't think I'll need it. And what I'll probably do once this first initial coat dries, I'll do some dry brushing on it. So that's, for those of you who don't know, dry brushing is just literally having a completely dry brush and then just getting a few bits of paint. Or like what I like to do is wet it first, get a bit of paint on, then like rub it meticulously with a paper towel, and then just dab the now dry brush onto the bits of paper towel, and then going for gold. So I'll do that with a few different colors. So probably the 3 colors I've just used in isolation. That is a pretty good first pass, actually. So I'm just going to fill in the gaps. Like, I think I'll only need this one paint job, in all honesty, this one coat. And then that's what the backdrop is going to look like. What I'm doing now is a very wet coat on the top. Just like basically a water layer with just a little bit of paint on it. Just to you know, make it increase that weathering. And that's secure enough as well, the fence, for the figure. It's a tiny little thing anyway. Well, that's the paint done, so that's good. What I might do now is do a little bit of a cleanup and then talk you through sort of what's next. There's not much left, to be honest. What I'll do is I'll see if I can chuck that up as well. So I just wanted to show you all just like sort of what it's going to look like in the end. Not quite. So we've got our backdrop here. And it's going to slot in like so. Sort of look like that. And then we're going to get our figures in as well and pose accordingly. And there you have it. This is pretty much done. I do have some lights as well, some funky little lights. So this is pretty close to the final product. I'm going to trim this up just like on the sides, just to have a bit more of a view. Fix up the back so it's a nice final diorama, and then add in these glowing Force Ghost lights, these little fairy lights. Probably just around like the base and stuff, just to give them a bit of a glow effect. But if it looks too naff, I think it looks really good as a little finished product. So thank you everyone for joining me this week. It's been a fun little project, a little bit of a crafternoon. I'll show you what the finished one looks like, hopefully in the edit here, and with all the trimmings down. But I want to thank everyone for joining me. If you've got any more suggestions, any more craft activities you want me to try, look, I'm pretty crafty. I like to give things a go, so let me know. But otherwise, have a great week, everyone. I'll see you later. Bye.